And again, we welcome you back to Center Ice Arena here in Traverse City, the 2018 Prospects Tournament. Joining me now, the General Manager of the Detroit Red Wings, Ken Holland. And Ken, you know it's September here in Traverse City. I would imagine you're happy hockey is back.
Absolutely. Been excited, obviously, for training camp for a while. Excited about the draft that we had, and this is a great week. It's a fabulous way to start the season, or training camp into the season for, I think, everybody, all 8 teams that are here, an opportunity to see the young kids that are your future of your organization.
Well, a couple of players that were drafted high for your club this year was, standing out there, I thought, in the first 40 minutes of this hockey game. Filip Zadina, he's got a goal. And you look at Michael Rasmussen, who was picked a couple of years ago, Delino this year, 30th overall. What are your overall impressions of those 3 players?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to really put a lot into 2 periods of hockey when we've watched them for a while. Obviously, they're a big part of our future. It's the direction that we're going. We're going younger. We're going to rebuild this team. And I think, obviously, Zadina, who was a high pick this year, 6th overall, the one-timer, he knows how to score. I also think he's got hockey sense. He can make plays. He's competitive. It looks like he has a chance to be obviously, we projected him and drafted him to be, and it looks like he's got a chance to score goals in the National Hockey League. Now, how quickly? They're 19 years of age. Some players can do it when they're 18, 19, 20, and some need a little bit more time, but certainly his history has been that he knows how to produce offense. Michael Rasmussen, in building an organization, one of the things he brings a dimension of size. You need some size in your roster. You need some small people. You need some big people. You need some creativity. You need some goal scorers. He can get to the front of the net. He knows how to protect the puck. We drafted him as a center. I think he can also play left wing. He's played a lot of left wing in Tri-Cities this year, as well as playing on the center spot. So he brings an element of size with skill and versatility that he can play a couple of forward positions.
How about back on the blue line, Dennis Chalowski, a player that you drafted a couple of years ago. I remember when he first came in, he was like skin and bones. Always a great skater. He can really skate, but then he kind of bulked up, added a lot of muscle. What are your thoughts of him? How do you project him going into the season?
Well, he's worked really hard. We drafted him. He's about 175 pounds. I think he's 195 to 200 pounds now. He's a smooth skater. He's good with the puck. He moves the puck. In a league where it's important to have mobile, puck-moving defensemen that can get back, get the puck, swing the net, and make a pass, or be under pressure and make that little pass to transition you from defense to offense. That's what he's done. He's worked really hard. Sean Horkov has worked really hard with him and given him things to work on and connected him with people. I know the bar was Jim. He's been there a lot on his own. Spent some time in Detroit over the last couple of summers. Had a great year last year in Portland. Had played in college the year after we drafted him. Played regular, didn't play a lot of big minutes, and I think when it was looking for an opportunity, when you're 19 years of age, in junior, you're playing against a lot of 17 and 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, players similar age. So he had 70-plus points, had a great year. This year, turning pro this year, we're going to give him lots of preseason games to see where he's at, and then we'll make a decision whether he can force his way onto our roster or he needs some time in the American Hockey League.
Ken, we talk about a lot of skilled players, and when we talk about Rasmussen and Zadina, Chalowski, kind of a skilled player back there, but you also need some guys that can be protected role players. Darren McCarty was a good example. What about Giovanni Smith? What's your take on him, and how has he progressed?
Well, Gio had a great playoff with Kitchener. He was playing in Guelph. He got traded at the deadline, and he finished the second half of the year with Kitchener, and they went to Game 7, I think, of the third round of the playoffs. He was a big factor for Kitchener in their playoff run. He's come a long way in the last year. I thought he's worked really hard on skill development and doing extra things in the summertime and after practice to work on his skills, but certainly he's a big, strong, powerful man that can protect the puck. Like out here He's playing on a line with Rasmussen and Zadina. He's a guy that can probably play, you know, down your roster with some muckers and grinders and get in and be heavy on the puck. But also at the junior level, we're going to see he's turning pro now. Can he play higher up the level, higher up the line? Can he play in your top 6, top 9? Can he force his way up there? And certainly we want to give him that opportunity this year in Grand Rapids to play in our top 9. And you know, it's the next challenge. You're on to the next challenge. You're playing pro hockey, and it's another level of players. But certainly he's big and strong and powerful. He can protect the puck, and he's got enough skill that he can play with skill players.
Yeah, we're seeing a couple of goaltenders here, Rybar and Fulcher's the backup tonight. But I know you've drafted some goaltenders, but how long will it take for some of these goaltenders that you have drafted to perhaps make it to the big club?
Well, you know, in Rybar's case, he's a little older than some of these guys. I think he's around 22, 23 years of age. Played regular, obviously, in the men's league over in Europe. I watched him play for Slovakia against Sweden in the World Championships. Played very, very well. So he's a little older. We've signed him. We signed Harry Sateri and Rybar to be in Grand Rapids. It's an opportunity. Now he's coming over here because he's trying to prove that he can play North American pro hockey. Fulcher is a kid that's 19 years of age that led Hamilton to the OHL championship and went to the Memorial Cup, had a great year. He's 6'5". We got lots of goalies. Our third-round pick, the Swedish kid Eliasson, was just picked the goalie of the tournament at the Four Nations in late August between the Czechs, the Swedes, the Finns, and the Russians. He's a big kid, 6'3". We got Larson, who's going to University of Denver, who's 6'3"-ish, 6'2", 6'3". So we've got lots of big kids that are in good places. How long does it take to get a goalie to the National Hockey League? I think realistically they got to be 22, 23, 24 years of age. In order to become #1 goalies, you know, there's a process. Get in the American League, take over the #1 guy, be the third guy in the organization. Then you get to the National Hockey League, and you become, you know, you look at Jimmy Howard. He did that. Then he got to Detroit. He was Chris Osgood's backup, and after a period of time, he took Chris Osgood's job. And Peter Mrazek did the same thing. And we made a decision this year that we traded Peter Mrazek. But I think it takes the longest time with goaltenders, because when they make a mistake, the red light goes on. If you're a skater and you make a bit of a mistake, there's always people there that can bail you out. So it takes a little bit longer with goaltenders.
There's some players obviously not playing in this tournament. We saw him in the development camp, Berggren, and he seemed like he was a dynamic type of hockey player. The guy we're seeing tonight on the blue line, Jared McIsaac, you know, he was a guy that you drafted in the first 40 picks. And what is your assessment on those two players? Well,
I watched McIsaac play for the World Junior Showcase in Kamloops, British Columbia in early August. For Canada, USA, Sweden and Finland, you know, kind of an evaluation camp leading into the selection of the country's teams for the World Junior Championship at Christmas time. I thought he played very well. You know, I think he's a good skater. He's mobile. He can make a good first pass. He's a good penalty killer. I think there's a little bit of offense in there. But we like him. I thought he played again. Our scouts liked him. We picked him. We were excited to get him where we got him in the draft. And he's going to be in Halifax this year, which is hosting the Memorial Cup. They're going to have a really good team. He's going to be an important player on that team. Think he's a real good. Obviously, we think he's a real good prospect. Berggren, I also watched that World Junior Showcase for Sweden. He's 18 years of age. It's more of a 19-year-old tournament. But I thought when they played him on the bottom six, but he's got some tricks. You know, he's got some tricks in the offensive zone. At our development camp, I thought in the red-white game, he really showed some hockey sense and the ability to find people and distribute the puck. He's going to play in the Swedish Hockey League this year, so he's in a great spot. Gustav Lindstrom, our second-round pick defenseman, is playing in the Swedish Elite League, and early on here is playing regular in the top 4. So, you know, they're kids. They're young players where you tuck them away. Some are in Grand Rapids, some are in Europe, some are in college hockey. We've just got to be patient. They're coming, and we need them at whatever level they're at to really establish themselves at either the #1 goalie in college or the American League, or be in the top 4, and then you move them on to the next spot. But It's going to take some time, but I think we've got lots of kids coming with a possibility. They're not all going to make it. Some get to a certain level and they can't go to the final step. But I think we've got quite a few kids that we're excited about.
Run out of time, Kenny, but one quick question. We're going to come to the season, and camp starts a week from now. But talk about what are your expectations this year with the Red Wings, and also how about Henrik Zetterberg? Have you heard any word with him?
No, I mean it doesn't appear to be very optimistic about Zia. Hasn't been able to train all summer, and you know, you're trying to play the National Hockey League and you haven't been able to train since April. So I think, you know, right now we're planning that he's not going to be here, at least for the first little while. He's going to go see a back specialist in New York to perform the back surgery, and then we'll get more information. We're going to try to put another couple, 2-3 kids into the lineup, and as the season wears on, even if some of these players go to Grand Rapids, we're hoping that they play well and they can play their way up. But you know, on defense, Chalowski, Hronek, who had a great year in the American Hockey League, Sulak, Joe Hickett's up front, Svechnikov, Zadina, Rasmussen. Want to see what they can do, and we're hoping that one or two can force their way on the roster, maybe more, and hopefully they give us some real difficult decisions in October. But we're going younger, but at the same time, Ken, it's important that we're competitive. It's important that we're in the game, we're competitive, so we've got a real positive environment, even if you're not winning as much as you'd like to. I mean, obviously our hope is that our young kids can play and can jump in, and there's a lot of excitement, and we can kind of find a way to kind of hang in the playoff race. But it's important that we've got a positive locker room, that the kids are slowly becoming more and more important, more responsible, but we've got some veteran leadership there that are role models and mentors, that when things are a little bit rocky, there's someone that they can look at that's been through the tough times, and just tell them to keep doing what you're doing the right thing. So I thought last year it was a disappointing season, that we fell out of the playoff race. We lost, I think, 27 games by 1 goal. So we were competitive, and hopefully, whether it's a Zadina or Rasmussen or Hronek or the elevation of a Larkin or a Mantha, Athanasiou, Bertuzzi, that's the direction we're going. That's what we need to happen, and that's what's going to happen for us to get to the point where we want to become Stanley Cup contenders.
Kenny, as always, thanks a lot for your time and taking time to talk to our fans out there. And also, we're looking forward to training camp coming up next Friday here in Traverse City. And then the preseason starts on the 19th, I believe, against the Pittsburgh Penguins at Little Caesars Arena. Yeah,
it's an exciting time. So thanks for coming up, and thanks for everybody for viewing in. It's an exciting time for our organization. And we've got some kids that are on the move. They're coming. It's just going to take a little bit of time. We got to be patient, but they're coming.
All right. Minnesota, 2-1 lead over the Red Wings. Zadina, the goal scorer for Detroit. Sokolov and Ladnia for Minnesota. We'll be back for the call of the third period in a moment, right after this.